What's going on? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris, the Candy Man. How we doing tonight? What's up, Davis? What's going on? Time for a little bit of best ball mania. Let's get back in these streets. Been doing a lot of drafting lately, actually, but mostly it's been slow drafts for the slow puppy and the palm but super flex. Got a ton of slow drafts going. Waiting for 3 more, waiting for 2 more. This is going to fill any second. We're just chilling tonight. Sunday night, wrapping up the weekend, jumping into the best ball streets. A lot of crazy news has been coming out. I'm excited for the news cycle tomorrow morning on Monday, hearing all of the headlines about Jonathan Taylor, Jim Irsay. I mean, we're talking about both Seattle running backs, Ken Walker, Zach Charbonnet, might be injured, who knows. Time to start drafting some Kenny McIntosh. We'll see. Definitely on the radar. Waiting still for one more person to fill this Best Ball Mania draft. We're kicking it off. How many teams am I at? Best Ball Mania, I just checked that out. I think I'm at actually 50 or so. And then total drafts, a bit over 120, so like 130, 140, somewhere around there. So it's feeling pretty good. Also, crazy, I've noticed that Fantasy Pros Draft Assistant has a little widget that says launch Fantasy Pros Draft Assistant on Underdog. I wonder if I didn't see any announcements. There's some kind of partnership going there. Cool. So we're looking to see who's drafting with us. I don't really know if I recognize these names, but got a room full, and we're drafting from the 8th spot. We'll see how this turns out. I'm really excited to see how the running backs start to fall now that it's the year of the zero running back redemption, and it's crazy, all this stuff going on. When the news was coming out about Jonathan Jacobs, I was still drafting him at the end of the 3rd round. I was hoping to get him more in the 4th round. In the super flex, Palm super flex, I was getting Josh Jacobs all over the place. So one of the interesting things about the slow drafts is that if you enter too many at a time, they all kind of end up in the same drafting rounds at the same time. So right now, a lot of my slows are in like round 5, 6, 7. And so I've been focusing on a lot of those types of picks, but I haven't been picking a lot at like the beginning or the end of the draft for like the last 2 days, except for I've still been doing about a best ball mania or 2 a day. But just in general, it's kind of funny how you start to really focus on the different parts of the draft. And now that all these running backs are starting to fall and all this news, I think there's going to be a lot of movement. I'm not really sure what to expect in some of these early rounds where people are going to be taking the running backs. And I've been hearing a lot. I know I've seen in some of the best ball mania drafts so far this week, the rooms have been a little bit softer, a little bit more casual. Some redraft bros jumping back in, getting into best ball. Gearing up. Here comes the first pick. And for me, it's going to be either A.J. Brown. Actually, I might do Eckler here. I think it could be fun to run out an Eckler build, go really hard with Justin Herbert, and try to see if I can go with a full Herbert build. Just kidding. We're going A.J. Brown. My bring back pick is going to be 17 and then 32. It's a bit early. What do I want to do here? Yeah, I'll go A.J. Brown. I've got a lot of A.J. Brown. I've got a lot of Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is my number 1 drafted quarterback, or at least top 3 these days. But will I be able to push Jalen Hurts to pick 32? We'll see. All right, so Bijan Robinson and Nick Chubb, then CeeDee Lamb to wrap up the first round. Give me your bread drafts CeeDee Lamb, followed by Garrett Wilson. It's a pretty strong start, in my opinion. Throw up the board. Saquon goes. Okay, Bijan Saquon. Nick Chubb, Amon-Ra went. Diggs and Devontae Adams, so it's my pick. I can go Waddle here. Definitely not going JT. Could go Olave. Could reach up and get Devonta Smith, which I've done before. I think we'll just go Waddle here. I love Jalen Waddle. I'm now competing with the Diggs Adams team and the CeeDee Lamb Garrett Wilson team for kind of who can start off with the strongest wide receiver group. A.J. Brown and Jalen Waddle. I don't know if I've actually started with those two wide receivers kind of back-to-back recently enough. But I love what that does if I miss on Jalen Hurts in round 3 with my next pick. I can just push quarterback later, try to get Tua around pick 100 or so. Patrick Mahomes goes to the Travis Kelce drafter in the 5 spot. No surprise there. Tyreek Hill and Devonta Smith. That's a really sweet team. It's kind of like the inverse of my team. So now I've really got to watch out for this guy, Nate the Freight, because he's building a really similar lineup to me in terms of the teams that he's exposed to, the bringbacks he might be looking for, the quarterbacks we might be drafting. So I'm pretty certain that I will not be getting Jalen Hurts in this draft because of that pick right there of where Devonta Smith went. If I look ahead, I could be drafting Tua at 104. I could reach up to 89. We'll see how quarterbacks are going. I like to be patient on quarterbacks, especially if I don't get one of the top 3 guys in a reasonable spot. And I don't have a Charger or so far I don't have any Jaguars, but I could add maybe Calvin Ridley could fall. That'd be a pretty sweet pick with my next one. So then I'd be looking for T-Law. Otherwise, I'm going to skip out on some of those kind of second-tier quarterbacks. Lamar could be a really interesting pick for me, although I'd want to push him to the 4th round, which sounds like why not just take him in the 3rd, but we'll see also where Mark Andrews goes. He's kind of my target right now. Mark Andrews in the 3rd round would be great with this build. Calvin Ridley would be great. Who else would I want? If I'm thinking A.J. Brown and then round 3, yeah, I don't know. Maybe Waddle. Really, it's just getting that Waddle, Mark Andrews bring back. It's probably the best setup. Otherwise, just go for the solid, whatever position available is there. Probably wide receiver. I don't know if I'm going to take a running back in that spot. I'm trying to think who that might be. Just playing off the board right now. So pretty much we've got 4 teams drafting wide receiver heavy. We've got 2 teams that started back-to-back running back with a Bijan Saquon team. We've got a Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor team. Any other year, I'm all in with that team. CMC and JT, yes, sign me up. Oh, bummer. So Jalen Hurts, Mark Andrews go right at the start to kick off the 3rd round. So the team went Justin Jefferson, Derrick Henry, Jalen Hurts. Can't blame you there. It's just a solid, top player at every position potentially. Similar, the team that went Jamar Chase and Breece Hall took Mark Andrews. There's some good Jamar Chase, Mark Andrews kind of correlation there you can get, for the AFC North. Coming up pretty quick on my pick, I'm going to flip back to our choices. Pick 32, Josh Allen goes, T. Higgins goes. So the Jamar Chase drafter skips on T. Higgins to go Mark Andrews. I think that's interesting. Wonder what they were thinking there. Patrick Mahomes, DK Metcalf, that's a really common combination I've seen, especially when you start with Travis Kelce. But nonetheless, to me, I think it's a decent start. I'm all in on the Seahawks. I like to get Tyler Lockett and JSN as much as possible. I'll sprinkle in some DK Metcalf. But I'm all in. I think the Seahawks are a really strong team. Calvin Ridley goes 2 picks before me. It's definitely a guy I was targeting, aren't we all? So that leaves Josh Jacobs. Yikes. Ramondre Stevenson, who there's been a lot of talk about maybe Zeke signing, in New England. I think Zeke probably does not end up back in Dallas, and so that's kind of scaring me off a little bit. Lamar Jackson goes, total bummer there, but that's all right. So if I think about this, where I've been drafting all season, I probably do end up liking Ramondre here the best. I get a little bit of that AFC East correlation with Jalen Waddle, and I'm not crazy about any of the other picks right here at the end of the third round. So regardless of what veteran might sign in New England, whether that's Zeke or somebody else, I think Mondre can still give me, some solid weeks, a solid anchor. I think I'm ending up with an RB anchor kind of build off the bat. When you think about it, A.J. Brown and Jalen Waddle, that gives me ability to really build with some late picks. If you think about a bring back for Jalen Waddle right now, for me, that's going to be like a Zay Flowers, maybe in could be pick 89, it looks like. That'd be a little bit early for Zay Flowers, but I'm not afraid to take him there. I'm also thinking about if Dobbins falls really late, that could be a nice second running back, although I don't feel pressured to take a running back where Dobbins is usually going to go, which could be anywhere from the 5th to 6th round. Been more in the 6th round lately. There was like some article, I forget exactly which it was, but it was posted up about Dobbins' knee still kind of giving him some like nagging issues. Two picks away. Jerry Jeudy went. That's a player I like a lot this year. Keenan Allen, just fine. Najee goes. I'm up. It's Christian Watson, Terry McLaurin, Drake London. I think with my team right now, probably Drake London. Yeah, I think I'll do Drake London here. I've been big in on Drake London in general. I think he's really talented. Could get some upgraded play at quarterback, some consistent play throughout the season. Forget, how bad things were for the Falcons and their offense in the middle of the season. They started off decently with Marcus Mariota, at least in a fantasy sense. They had some wins about middle of the season last year. The Falcons started just nosediving, and Mariota gets benched, right? And London has some inconsistency with his quarterback play, but still produced really solid rookie numbers. Looking for him to grow on that. He can slot in as my wide receiver 3 on this really strong wide receiver team. If I look back to those teams who also started with the wide receivers, the team that started Tyreek Hill and Devonta Smith followed it up with Calvin Ridley and Christian Watson. Pretty jealous of that team right now in that start. I would take that probably over my team at this point, just straight up. But still, I don't feel bad about how the round ended up. I was really optimistic, but Jalen Hurts and Mark Andrews went at the top of the third round. Didn't make it anywhere near my pick at the 8th spot, so 32 overall. Drake London, solid pick, like I was saying. Gives me one more out. So far, I've got Mac Jones, Desmond Ridder, Tua Tagovailoa as my 3 remaining quarterback options through 4 rounds of the players I've drafted. The other teams that started really strong with wide receiver, the CeeDee Lamb team that went Garrett Wilson at pick 13, took Amari Cooper and Najee Harris. Those are solid picks. I like that start. The other team that started Steph Diggs and Dante Adams followed it up with Josh Jacobs and Joe Mixon. I don't really like those picks for his team, but I can't hate on Joe Mixon. I just think at pick 40, you're not really getting good closing line value on Joe Mixon relative to where he'd been going all summer. For me taking him there. But I definitely think he's a great upside pick, great upside player. What's up, Randy Miller in the chat? How you doing? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Garage. Hope you're having a good night, man. He says, would you say Amon-Ra at the 108 in a 12-team PPR redraft league is too high? Well, PPR, sky's the limit, honestly. In my mind, when I think back to drafting the top wideouts in PPR leagues, and you got a young, talented guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown, it comes down to your player takes. You got to believe in him. If I flip to the top of this board here and, understanding this is half point, you can see Amon-Ra slotting in as 2, 4, 6, 8, kind of that 9, 10 wide receiver spot and half point here. So in full point, and I'm happy to make the case for him over both CD or Garrett Wilson in general. So that gets him closer. I don't really put him ahead of Diggs or A.J. Brown in my mind. Maybe in full point PPR, you could think about putting him ahead of. And that's probably it. Yeah, that's probably a safe spot. But I would like to take Amon-Ra St. Brown in a PPR league in general. I think he's a great pick. And yeah, sky's the limit. Why not? We haven't gotten a lot of signal from Jameson Williams that he's going to take over a lot of targets. Even if he plays, he's kind of that boomer bust guy, can catch one ball. So Amon-Ra looking to rake up all of those underneath targets, screen passes hopefully, but also, all the good stuff downfield too. Jared Goff. We'll see. I'm up now. Let's make this pick. We could do Kittle. I think Kittle's a decent pick here at 50, whatever. I'm not going to go Ken Walker with the injury news. It's a little bit early for JSN, maybe on the rebound. I like Deontay Johnson a lot, and I can pair him with Lockett or JSN on the rebound. And if Kittle's still there, it's not a bad option either. So Deontay Johnson, too, I want. I think he's just really undervalued. I take him at ADP here, but the board was falling as it was, and I didn't even actually realize that Tyler Lockett had already gone. That makes sense, though. And now we see this team, Nate the Freight, picks up Christian Watson, followed by Christian Kirk. Really solid. We also had Justin Fields falling to the 5th round. Burrow goes in the 5th round. Some people might say that's rich with his current status of his calf strain. I think it's just fine. What are your thoughts on Bijan? Got burned the past 2 years by the 1st round running back. So, Randy, great question. And do you play redraft at all? Yeah, I've been playing redraft since 2000. I think 6 or 7 was my first year in redraft. And my home league, which is redraft, I have that draft coming up the week before Labor Day. We do destination. So me and my buddies, we meet up somewhere, and we have a big weekend, and we do our redraft. We actually do it auction, and it's auction, Superflex, half PPR, but we've changed the rules over the years and things, and that league's evolved. So yeah, I do a lot of redraft studying for that league, and although it's auction, it had been Snake, in the past for many years, and I still kind of think in Snake and auction at the same time in general, but definitely doing a lot of redraft prep. I feel like Best Ball has helped me with my redraft prep and just all the kind of prep in general, understanding ADP. So my 2 favorite players, George Kittle, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, they went right after my pick of Deontay. Let's see, pick 65. Like, who do I like here? Madison doesn't really fit my team. I don't need Pitts. I don't want Pitts because I've got London. I love Pittman. Addison, great. I could go Goddard and get one of the remaining really strong tight ends, although I think it's super early for Goddard. Going back to that Devonta Smith pick, 65. Do I want Madison here? I honestly don't. I'm taking Pittman here. I love Pittman there. Gives me the ability to select AR-15 later if I want him, if he's there. And we've got a really, really, really strong wide receiver core to start so far. Taking 5 wide receivers, 1 running back. Love it. Love that start. Randy was saying thoughts on Bijan. So, yeah, just to finish off that thought on redraft. Love redraft. Probably my original favorite format. I still do redraft for fantasy basketball, some other types of leagues in general, redraft with friends. So definitely love redraft. Love getting your thoughts on how your redraft leagues are going, what you're preparing for. And then I'm in a bunch of dynasty leagues as well. I've got dynasty best ball leagues, which are super fun. A lot of the discords have started to organize dynasty leagues. So I've gotten into a few of those with different groups of guys. Been really fun doing that. And then just some other leagues over the years. I've been doing Dynasty. I think this is my 4th year doing Dynasty. So still pretty new to it, but enjoying it a good amount. Bijan. So I don't even know what I've got on me. I'm usually wearing my Longhorn hat, but big Bijan fan. Texas alumni here, Texas X here. I watched Bijan play in person many times. Watched him play against Alabama, OU. Watched him play over the years. Play with Roshan. Play with all the different quarterbacks. Quinn Ewers more recently. Last year, all the success they had. I'm all in on Bijan. I think in a redraft league, in a snake draft, you could pretty much take him anywhere and justify it. In my mind, especially if it's PPR, that's just being really like ceiling outcome. Having a player take saying like, I'll take Bijan anywhere. You might not have to, but I could make an argument for Bijan over any player if you want a top RB. Christian McCaffrey's the obvious choice, but this would be like, what are the other cases to make for a top running back? I think Bijan in my mind is number 2, even maybe over Eckler. Before the season started, there's a lot of scares with Eckler and some maybe requesting a trade. That kind of quieted down, but at the same time, you never know what they're going to do, if Eckler's going to maintain that giant workload he's had the last 2 seasons. I think he can, but those are the things you have to think about if you're making a case for Bijan. I love Javonte Williams. I really want him on this team. I think DeAndre Swift would be a great choice as well. And maybe Javonte will still be there. I'm going to take DeAndre Swift here. And then think about on my next pick. I think it's a decent value on DeAndre Swift. I want to see if people are being aggressive on Javonte Williams like I am. Because I've been taking a ton of Javonte Williams. Half of the best ball Mania teams I've drafted in the last week. Tons of my slows. Randy says, would you take him at the 108 full PPR if he's there for Bijan Robinson? Yeah, I think look where he's going here in half PPR. Bijan, number 10, right? Ahead of a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Bijan's gonna have a ton of receptions. He could be used similarly to how we saw in some sense. He could be there's a lot of differences, but I was going to say rookie year Najee Harris in terms of the ability to have like a 10 reception or target or like double digit reception ceiling game for any given week. The big difference there is that rookie year Najee was playing with Big Ben. Big Ben's totally washed. Oh, Zay Flowers went. We wanted Zay Flowers for bring back. Would have been a great pick here. Javonte goes. Other guy I wanted pretty badly. This could be the spot just to take 2. Although now that I can get Anthony Richardson, I don't feel as pressed. It would be nice to have both Anthony Richardson and Tua. I think that'd be a great pick. Rashad Bateman goes. Another guy I would have taken. I like Pacheco here, honestly. I don't have a huge reason to take Pacheco. I kind of want to do it. I like Pacheco. Let's let's take Tua. Let's check in at the guy. Actually, I should have checked in first. The Tyreek guy hadn't taken a quarterback, right? So he would have taken Tua at 91. I don't like the closing line value I'm getting there for Tua. I've taken him much later, round pick 100 or later or so. But I think it's a nice piece on this team. The only worry now is how am I going to bring back my Ravens? Well, Isaiah Likely is the likely choice for me. He goes with one of my last 2 picks. So, Davis, my man, appreciate you chilling tonight. Hope you're doing well, my man. Hope you had a good weekend. What's up on the West Coast, the best coast? I am unsure how much I like Arby's to have high receptions when they don't have a veteran QB. 100%. I think right when I was making my pick, the point I was trying to make before that was like a big difference is actually Desmond Ridder is a young QB. He's going to take off and run, potentially, they say. I'm not a big Bearcats fan. I don't have a ton of game footage and insider knowledge on the Bearcats where Desmond Ridder had played. So, you know, grain of salt. But he seems to West Coast is meh. You can't say that. Dude, I'm on the Gulf Coast. We're down here in Houston. This is the coolest outside it's been. The coldest night right now, and outside it's loading. It's so hot it won't even load the weather. It's been 95 the other nights. It's 88 right now. It's the first time it's gone below 90 degrees at night in over 2 weeks. Feels like 100, don't get me wrong. Feels like 100, 88 degrees. And I'm in the garage, literally with no AC because... I don't know. I guess I just like it out here. West Coast is meh. West Coast is, dude, come on. West Coast is the best coast. I'm trying to plan a trip out to the West Coast for one of my best buddies' bachelor parties coming up. I think we're going to end up doing it in like January, February. But flying into LA, hit up Joshua Tree, road trip it back to LA, fly to Vegas. Do some, at that time it might be NFL playoffs, but do some sports betting, hang out, maybe do some poker, that kind of stuff, blackjack, see a show or two, maybe go to a Raiders game. I've been trying to corral all my buddies into just flying out to Vegas just to see a Raiders Texans game or any kind of Raiders game, just for fun. 1, 2, 5, 0 build. Am I worried about not having a tight end? Not at all. Took Tua, can take Anthony Richardson here. I'm going to actually look at the board, though. I want to see if anyone else after me has taken quarterback so far. No, they really haven't. There's 3 guys right after me who have not taken quarterback. All of them potentially could take AR-15. So... AR-15 goes a couple picks before me. That's fine. That's why I took Tua. 1, 2, 5. I'm good on running back. I could take Charbs here, but I have high exposure to Charbs, and with recent injury concerns about his shoulder, I'm going to chill a bit. I'm going to queue up Penny. I think is a strong pick here. Pairs well with my Swift and Brown. If you catch my drift, I'm just hammering in these Eagles. Could go Brian Robinson. It's a good Washington bring back. I don't have any 49ers, though. Pat Freiermuth, Njoku. Jamison Williams would be interesting. Probably a good pick, but I've got a lot of wide receivers. I don't need him. Taking Penny. Just hammering Eagles here. Bleeding green. Fly, Eagle, fly. Didn't really do that intentionally. And I don't like that I took Penny ahead of ADP, but man, Rashad Penny's going to get a ton of work. The Eagles dominated teams last year. I don't see that changing. I don't see them slowing down too much. Come on. And in the second half of games, if Rashad Penny's healthy, since I drafted him, I'm taking my ceiling case here and saying he's going to be healthy the whole season. He's going to smash, going to average 5 yards per carry. A yard after contact or 2 or something. He's got a really good yards after contact average. Am I worried about the Eagles and Miami having the same bye week? No, I think it's fine there. Bye week 10, by the way, going real heavy there. Don't have a tight end. Can definitely take Durham Smythe with my last pick. Isaiah Likely with my last pick. So I'm not worried about that. I like Jake Ferguson too. Been drafting plenty of Jake Ferguson. Just all summer in general, he was that guy. Daniel Bellinger is another tight end that I think has to get drafted. I think the targets and receptions, they're going to be dished out in New York for the Giants. It's so cloudy right now. It's so hard to figure out. Obviously, there are veteran incumbents like Darius Slayton, like Sterling Shepard that we love. Technically, Daniel Bellinger is second year there. He's got some connection with Daniel Jones. So Waller hasn't always been the healthiest guy. Man, I should have been showing the board this whole time. My bad. But anyways, Daniel Jones goes. I think it's a really solid pick there. For me, I was eyeballing Brian Robinson this whole time. I don't love the pick, but we can do it. We could take Damon Harris. Cooled a bit there. I could reach a bit for A-Chain, which I think I'm going to do here over Robinson. And that's my pick. Otherwise, I was going to go Jacoby Myers, which I love. A-Chain goes to me. Yeah, it's a little bit early for Myers. I've been drafting Jacoby Myers all over the place. I think one time in a smaller like Palm or a Puppy, I took him pick 98. I love Jacoby Myers. Haven't always loved him. He's definitely better in PPR, and he's on a new team, but he's been really solid the last 2 years. Upside case on him, I think, is amazing. Look at this. The last 2 years, super consistent, 800 yards on any amount of targets or receptions. He's adaptable. Touchdowns can go up or down. Obviously, they try to make him run the ball, but it doesn't work out. Versus a Nico Collins, who's going the same spot, but look, consistently 400 yards. A third-year breakout? Why not take Jacoby Myers, who's already there? Rondale Moore, third-year breakout? He's in a similar spot to me. I don't know why you would take... I guess Mooney is a good rebound case. Mooney's a good guy to take maybe over Jacoby Myers. Maybe that's the argument you could take here. Let me show the board. I've got a 1-4-5 build. I started to bulk up with my running backs. 2 of my last picks, Rashad Penny, Devon A-Chain. I've got some insider knowledge for you all. I hang out with Aggies because they're everywhere in Houston, everywhere in Austin. They're all over the place. So I've got neighbors across the street that are Aggies. I hear a lot of Aggie talk, and they're pretty honest people. And they'll tell you when a guy is good at football and when he's not. And generally, they are right. And I say that because my same sources have told me to be out on A&M quarterbacks in the past, have told me to be out on A&M running backs in the past, but Devon A-Chain's different. Just forget about his size. Don't think about dynasty when you're drafting best ball. Just think about his ceiling outcome. He is a between the tackles running back. He's a 3-down back. He's bursting through for big chunk plays. He'll catch a ball or two. He's not a satellite receiving back. He is just an undersized 3-down workhorse running back, and he's going to prove it. And that's the case here. And plus, I got Tua, so stacking them up nicely. Obviously, can always grab another Miami running back super late. Probably will, honestly. The way this is going, I'm really leaning into a few teams here. And a little bit of correlation needs to be worked out with some of my bringbacks. Like I need to get, like I said, a Raven. I need to work on a Raider. No one's queued up. No one fell to me. Geno Smith, I don't have any reason to take him here at 115, although he's fallen a good amount. No reason to take Cousins either. Interesting, though. Jamal Williams, Rondell Moore, Mingo, Goff, Schultz. Let's go super late Geno and just take him at a value. A naked Geno here. It's a bold move, but maybe we can play into some of the recent news. Maybe this is a Kenny McIntosh team. We can just take Geno and just say, hey, we got some good ADP value. There's no one else to take. He wouldn't have come back because the guy who took JSN, the guy who took Tyler Lockett passed on him because he has Lamar. But still, JSN guy would have drafted him for sure. He takes Russell Wilson. I'm sure he's pissed. I can get some late players to pair up with Geno. This could be a Jalen Warren spot. Actually, he's already gone. Bummer. Could be Calvin Austin team. Could be a... We'll see. We'll see what Steelers we could work in here. Did I get Deontay? I already got Deontay. That's actually who I had on my mind. I was like, I know I thought I picked a Steeler already. So that made me feel good about taking Geno. I can get a late running back, tight end with Geno. If we look at Seattle, there's not really any top receivers left, wide receivers left, that is, that I'd want to take and feel good about. And you think, oh, there's no running backs either. We passed on Charbonnet earlier. Maybe Kenny McIntosh for the last pick, second to last pick. Parkinson's not bad in my mind. So, 2, 4, 5 build. We're 11 picks in, 7 picks to go. Up next, we look at the board. Quarterbacks have gone in this corner a lot. Jamal Williams, Roschon, Tank Bigsby. A lot of players, a lot of rookies I like have gone. Some wide receivers. We've got value now on Darnell Mooney. We've got Dalton Schultz we could take. I don't want to. Kendra Miller we've already got enough of. I think it's a good spot for Darnell Mooney. He works here. It's a good bring back for my Drake London. Chicago also plays Arizona in week 16. I might be working on an Arizona bring back for all of my investment in Philadelphia. I've got 3 Philly players. But Darnell Mooney, I think he's a solid pick here. I mean, I don't love taking any Bears receivers when you don't have Justin Fields, but Mooney, redemption year, getting him at ADP value, maybe some closing line value. We'll see how the relationship with Claypool continues, and if he's able to like take more of Mooney's job or not, but it's up in the air. It's a decent pick. Puts my team at a 2-4-6-0 build. I'm really punting tight ends till the end here because both of my quarterbacks, I can take a late tight end with them and feel good about it. I'll try to snag maybe another correlated tight end or just someone who's a stud at value that I can get later on. I'm open now to taking any random tight end I can fit in. It's going to help me, give me a little bit higher ceiling versus the tight ends who are left with these 2 quarterbacks. If I take one or both of them, they're going to be pretty low ceiling guys. Just looking for a touchdown kind of guys. Wouldn't expect 2 touchdowns. Wouldn't expect more than 40 yards kind of guys. Who would I be like really psyched with? Would be like Taysom Hill later on at value, Laporta at value, Everett at value, maybe Irv Smith. I'm not sure yet. My next picks are 152 and pick 161, and then 176. So 50, 60, 76. $50, $60, $76 is kind of like how I'm picking them up next. A few players have gone. Irv Smith went, considered him. Kyler Murray goes, wow. Quarterbacks, don't want any of them. Running backs, I don't think I want any of them right now. I think I'm good on running back right now where I sit. Algier went there. I'm thinking like a Spears. Wide receiver Mims. I don't know. Jalen Reed, Chark, Shaheed, Taekwon. Is this where we take a tight end? Komet. It's where we take Taysom Hill, actually. I think there's a good chance Taysom Hill would have gone before my next pick, just based on this guy here. B. Nizzle, 52, doesn't have a tight end yet. He could be going super late. I mean, obviously he can go Laporta, and I'm sure he will. He could be going super late with Ferguson or Schoonmaker. So, Taysom Hill, the earliest I've ever taken him. That's fine. It kind of averages out. I think my current average drafted position for Taysom Hill, when I looked at the My Fantasy Life Best Ball Hub, which I did pretty recently, like last week, I have Taysom Hill at like 168 or maybe 170 still, because I've been drafting him all summer way, way up. That's across all the tournaments. Best Ball Mania, I'm sure I have him in like the 166, 168 range, I think, still, but I've drafted Taysom Hill a few times in the 150s. And just for how my team's worked out, I think for the upside, it's nice here. Don't love it, don't hate it kind of pick. But you see how many tight ends, the Avalanche, that went right after I took Taysom Hill, and he was my favorite of this group for how my Geno Smith, Tua, Tagovailoa team has kind of panned out. Still could go late. Ritter, Mac Jones. There's some options. Yeah, so who should I take with my next pick? 2, 4, 6, 1 build. Marvin Mims is still there. Tight ends do I want? No. Wide receivers? Not particularly. This could be a good spot for a running back. If I did take a running back, it's a Foreman team. It is now. It's a fine pick. I was going to double check. The only thing I was concerned about is if he was a week 10 buy, but when I saw that he wasn't, I let it, the draft clock run out. I let him get queued up. Donta Foreman at value. Solid pick. I've got Drake London. I've got Darnell Mooney. I've got a nice mini built in there. Maybe Foreman goes off week 17 and they need Drake London to run it back for him. So totally plausible. I think it's a decent pick for how my running backs have shaped out. And I wouldn't necessarily, it's somewhat of a hero RB build, but I did take DeAndre Swift at pick 80. And I have 2 early, in the early hundreds pick for Penny and A-Chain. So not a complete kind of punt at running back. I feel like it's a good amount of capital I've spent there so far. Could definitely take one more running back, end up with 5 or 6. I could leave it here. I wouldn't be afraid to leave it at 5, even though I've got 3 running backs on a week 10 bye. So probably take one more just because my wide receivers are so strong. Started off A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Drake London, Deontay Johnson, Michael Pittman, Darnell Mooney. I feel really good about how Michael Pittman and Darnell Mooney came together as my last 2 wide receivers that I've taken, and it's been a while since I've had to think about wide receiver really in depth about who I should be taking. I've got a lot of guys who have great projected target share on their teams, either the top wide receiver option or just an all-out, great offense in terms of Jalen Waddle. I think potentially Darnell Mooney could be on a great or better offense than what we saw last year for sure. Looking at the board, 4 picks away, not that many picks left. It's our last 1, 2, 3, 4 picks. So we already know that one of the picks is going to be Isaiah Likely, hopefully, at the end for my bring back there. Otherwise, I'm pulling Gus Edwards around the same spot. And now to work some magic on Geno Smith and Tua. And then the tight end play, right? So I only got 6 wide receivers. I need one more. Do I have a rookie wide receiver? I don't. I could go Jalen Hyatt here. Yeah, Jalen Hyatt. Not afraid to reach up and take him there. I think that's probably the last wide receiver I take, potentially. We'll see. Just depends. Could be a 2 tight end build, just kind of punt tight end. Probably should go 3 tight ends though, and then probably should have a 6 running back. So that would be the last, and then don't take another quarterback. We'll have to see. There could be like insane quarterback value in the last round. Who would that even be? It would be Ritter for me. He's gone. Poof. Mac Jones, I would have had to potentially take a Bill or another Patriot wide receiver to get excited there, and I didn't do it. Didn't want to do it. Yeah, I'm going 2 quarterback certainly on this build. The question now is another receiver, so I can get. No, I don't need another receiver. I was thinking that I still needed a Steeler bring back. And how I might accomplish that late would be a Calvin Austin. But I've got Deontay Johnson. I like the Jalen Hyatt pick. This late in the draft, you can reach ahead of ADP like that. It doesn't really matter at all. Not too much. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day. You got him on your team or you don't. Which is what I'm going to be doing here with Isaiah Likely, where I take him, even if I take him ahead of Dawson Knox or Tyler Conklin, which might not be the. Maybe I should take one of these other guys as well, and then try to get Likely on the bring back here. Potentially get Gus, because if I look, now Gus is pretty high up there in terms of running backs. Conklin, Likely, Knox. There's a lot of upside with Knox here. Let's risk it on getting Knox. The ADP value is not that great. 185 versus he's fallen all the way to, let's call it 180. But it's a pretty nice combo with a lot of touchdown upside here. Dawson Knox, one of the remaining tight ends, I do believe, has a 2 touchdown upside kind of ceiling without just kind of wishing on a star. You could see Josh Allen and the Bills offense being the top offense this year, the offense you want a piece of, and regardless of Dalton Kincaid being on the team, being drafted in the first round, 25th overall, I believe, with the Bills, Dawson Knox has a role, has a spot on the team, strong connection with Josh Allen, so I'm all in there. We'll see if I can get Likely on the way back. If not, Gus Edwards. If not, I've got one more trick up my sleeve. I could take an Aguilar. Could take a Duvernay. Yeah, Isaiah Likely gets drafted. Bummer, dude. I don't think I want Melvin Gordon. It's really interesting though how much work he's gotten. Duvernay or Aguilar. Week 13 bye. Be a 2 tight end build, 2 quarterback. Duvernay, Aguilar, probably Aguilar. Then it doesn't work out great for taking McIntosh, who I do need because I don't have anyone paired up with Geno Smith. Unless I go tight end, which I will. Which I have 2 picks left. Running back and a tight end. So. Gus Edwards or Kenny McIntosh. I said I would do it. I think it's a fun pick. I like Kenny McIntosh. I think he is great at Georgia. Get me some exposure. Works for this team. Needed someone with Geno. Still need someone with Geno. Going to take a tight end as well. Gus Edwards is there. I have to consider it though. 2-7-7-2 build works just fine for me. Gus Edwards is the fade to Dobbins that I need. He's healthy. Dobbins is got lingering issues. If not, we'll go with another Seahawk. Could be Fant, who I don't like. Parkinson, I do like. Pretty sure the blurb on him was past physical off pup list was good. So I'm willing to take Noah Fant in this situation because I don't have as much confidence in my ability right now to get a lot of targets from Geno. I love Parkinson. I like his red zone efficiency. I like the snaps that he was getting there. Tons of red zone snaps at the end of last season, taking the place of Will Dissly and Fant, taking their snaps, taking their targets. So that's our option. We get a bring back with Gus Edwards. We could take a wide receiver like Aguilar or Duvernay. Duvernay might be the pick. But I think we skip the bring back there. Do we skip it? Take the tight end. Who has the more upside? The running back or the tight end? Allen Robinson goes. More upside. Running back or tight end? Running back. I think the running back's got the upside. Yeah, I need a Ravens player on this team. Ends up being a really interesting build. Pretty much you'd say a naked Geno Smith. But the way he plays in on this team is I took him with Kenny McIntosh. Oof. Spicy. So the full lineup from the 8 spot, we go with a 2-7-7-2 build. Tua Tagovailoa and Geno Smith. Stacked with Tua, took Devon Achane, and I took Jalen Waddle. And then I did not take Durham Smythe. I did not get Tyreek. Didn't take any of the other running backs. Geno Smith, stacked him up with Kenny McIntosh. Might be the first one to do it this year. Definitely not, but it's a fun pick. Thought about taking Fant or Parkinson, who are going undrafted. Probably should have taken Fant there. Would have been a good pick, but I feel just fine going to tight end. It's whatever. It's kind of a punt tight end build. Really is. Feel strong at wide receiver. Feel strong in the numbers of my running backs that I've got. I've got 7 guys, and I'm dominating that Eagles backfield unless Kenneth Gainwell is the man. Otherwise, I'm good. Ramondre Stevenson, I'm making that bet on him. He's the man, whether or not Zeke lands in New England. I'm still pretty confident in what he's going to do there. So, running back room, 7 of them. Ramondre Stevenson, DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny, Devon Achane, Donta Foreman. Oh, draft completed. Super fun. Kenny McIntosh, Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards is that bring back I needed for my Dolphins. Wide receiver group, really strong. A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Drake London, Deontay Johnson. When Deontay Johnson's your wide receiver 4, when Michael Pittman's your wide receiver 5, that feels good. It's a good spot to be in. Darnell Mooney and Jalen Hyatt are the last guys there. Fun picks. Could be big boom week guys. That's maybe who you need. Taysom Hill, Dawson Knox, punted tight end. Not much else to say. It's a good draft. It's fun. It's nice getting back out here, drafting in these streets, talking up with the chat. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thanks for being here. Like, subscribe, all of the good stuff. We're talking best ball all summer. Got a whole month left to get these drafts in. We'll see how many we can get to. I think my original goal was going to be to do just about 60, maybe to 80 drafts for Best Ball Mania. We'll see if we can get there. Pretty much half maxing it. Feels about right. I don't know if we'll have time to max it out. We have to do a lot of slows, and I don't want to rush them, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Definitely planning to get a ton more drafts in. If we do a draft today, we'll be right about 80 drafts by the end when it closes. Best Ball Mania is about 50% closed today. And just pumped, psyched, getting a lot of draft practice in. It's been really good. I think this team turned out fine. Anytime you take a Geno Smith team and you don't get one of his top 3 wide receivers, it feels bad, man. But definitely unique. Fading all of his wide receivers, or at least just not taking any. We were able to stack up Tua with Jalen Waddle. Thought about going 3 quarterback. Really thought about going 3 tight end. Ended up going 2-7-7-2. One of the more unique builds I've done. Taking a ton of running backs. That's all I've got for today. Another update. I might be entering some of the Pup Cup for the FedEx Cup Challenge. Getting into some best ball, golf, some PGA Tour. Thought about doing it today or this morning, but I don't think I've done enough research yet. I want to do a little bit more research, maybe later this week, a night, or next weekend, the week before the FedEx Cup starts. It's a 3-week tournament. I definitely want to fire off anywhere from 3 to 5, just a few squads. I think it's like an 8-round or a 10-round draft. I forget. I haven't done any so far. Really new to the PGA best ball, golf, best ball, but I've been a golf DFS guy for a couple seasons starting back in 2020. So follow the tour. I think it's really fun. Could be something good to mix it up. And besides that, more best ball mania and trying to knock out all of these slow drafts that I've got. Ton of slows. So I'm going to make my slow picks and call it a night. Thanks for watching. Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris the Candyman. Check you next time. Later.